In the last video about the Valley Line, I covered its southeastern segment. In this video, we're going to have a site visit to the locations of each future station on the Valley Line West. Valley Line West is just an expanded segment of the current Valley Line, not a new train line. This 14-kilometer expansion will run from the current 102nd Street station towards the Lewis Farms Transit Center, finally bringing the LRT to the west side of the city. Combining the west segment with the current southeast segment, Valley Line will be a 27-kilometer stretch with great connections from Lewis Farms to the West Edmonton Mall, Meadowlark, Wetaskiwin, formerly known as Oliver, MacEwan University, NorQuest College, Bonnie Doon, and Millwoods. The west segment is only 1 kilometer longer than the east segment, yet having 4 more stations, 16, making the total stations on the entire line to be at 28. You may have known this already, but the Valley Line Southeast and the Valley Line West are constructed by 2 different contractors. Marigold Transit is building the west segment, while Transit is responsible for constructing, operating, and maintaining the current line for the next 50 years. This led to a brand new set of trains from a totally different manufacturer to operate on the line, as the city of Edmonton selected Hyundai Rodham Company to build 40 light rail vehicles for the Valley Line West. These trains will be expected to deliver in 2025, which will operate on both the southeast and the west segment of the line once it's completed. Starting west of 102nd Street Station, where I'm walking on right now, will be the tracks of the train. As of May 2024, the protected bike lane on 102nd Avenue is completed and opened. Before this, I really admired the efforts from the city to keep a pathway for pedestrians and cyclists while the road is closed, which also demonstrated their priorities for active transportation. The first future station is Decoteau Station. The station is at a park and surrounded by some office/residential towers. Though the constructions have not started, you can see the road blocks and water drainage work already happen. I'm not a construction person, so can somebody explain in the comments the importance of this work? Decoteau is an indigenous athlete, which is who the park was named after. You can also see the future Valley Line banners in here, at the fences. Despite the massive road blockades, some crosswalks remain open, which again describe the priority for pedestrians that the city is trying their best to reach during the construction season. Speaking of a crosswalk, would you support a scrambled crosswalk once the train is in operation? Let me know. The tracks then make a turn onto 107th Street to reach the next stop, NorQuest College. You can see the road closures on the street, limiting it to just 1 lane of traffic traveling northbound. The future stop is located closer to the back door of NorQuest rather than at the main plaza of the college due to the location of the fire station opposite to it. Walking along 107th Street, you can also see there is a hawk signal for crossing and a dedicated crossing area between the fences. I first thought of how redundant this signal is, but after crossing from the fence, I realized its importance. These fences act like a blind spot, so definitely a way to catch drivers' attention in the context of being hidden by fences and construction materials is really important, as you see a lot of excavators, tools, and materials being dumped here. The train now makes a left turn onto 104th Avenue to approach the next stop, MacEwan Arts 112th Street. This stop is named so to align with the newest building of the MacEwan University, the MacEwan Center for Arts and Culture. Since it is at the frontage of MacEwan University anyways, I believe the stop deserves to be named MacEwan, while the current MacEwan station on the Metro line should be renamed to Ice District or Arena to closely follow the geography around it, but I want to hear your opinions on that. Placement of the stops connecting these 2 colleges will be super beneficial for both the students and the transit agency, as these will be the huge trip generators during the school year. But surrounding these stops, there can be more types of businesses that make the line a viable option to get to at different times of the days, because while the Valley Line will have a decent 5-minute headway, it may not operate up to its full potential if the land use surrounding it is not good enough. The construction on 104th Avenue also makes the street narrower, so I wonder what it is like before. Without all these roadblocks and eventually the tracks, they will help make it look more people-friendly and approachable for pedestrians, and this concept is called road diet. Here's a friendly reminder about it. You don't need to have a huge train project to have it. Road diet has different scales and can be implemented on any streets, but back to my wonders about how the road looks like before the construction. Here were some street view photos that I found. Holy One thing I have to commend the construction team in the city is the availability of bus stops during the construction. Typically, many of them would be closed or detoured, but the city ensured that there are still access for transit users by using temporary ramps, wooden bars, and rolled out pathways. The highlights here are definitely the ramps, as it ensures that the access for disabled people using wheelchairs and strollers are met. Some ramps can be quite steep, and I hope that they carefully consider this when placing new, temporary bus stops. But all in all, this is much better than just straight up turning a cold shoulder on transit users and make them have to walk so far for a detour. The fences also showed a sign about tree protection. I understand that big projects like this can affect the tree systems in the urban morphology, but they are carefully considered. In this case, they're even protected from being chopped down during the construction. And if nobody told you, planting new trees after removing old ones can do more harm than good for the urban environment, especially given how long it can take a tree type to mature. Now comes to the next station, 116th Street, The Yards. This station marks the entrance to a newly renamed neighborhood, ᖹ며ᒧհ്ቍ, meaning Circle of Friends in Cree. The former name was Oliver, named after Frank Oliver, a politician that was associated with many harmful policies targeting indigenous peoples, people of color, newcomers, and disabled people. I will leave some documents in the bio for you to read. If you look at the concept plan document for the Valley Line, this station is super close to the previous one. They're also on the far side of the intersection, which gave me some of the vibes of Calgary LRT when it traverses through the downtown core. This is also where the Stony Plain Road shuttle service begins. This is a community shuttle service taking people from the commercial areas in the neighborhood down Stony Plain Road and eventually ends at Jasper Place Terminal. The next stop is Brewery 120th Street. This stop will consist of two platforms between 119 and 120th Street, with access point to the brewery district. All the buildings in this area have the theme of a brewery facility with a chimney and red brick wall. Since the construction is happening at the entrance to the business access from 104th Avenue is restricted. There are some installations of a new sidewalk happening here already, and also this really cute temporary pedestrian signal using wooden pole. The wayfinding system is also pretty good around here, where there are maps telling people where they are, with a "You Are Here" dot and the drawn area of the closed segment. We see the tree fences again here, and there can be up to 3 of them from the intersection with 104 Avenue. The next stop is 124th Street. Despite being named so, its future location will be on the far side of 123rd Street and Stony Plain Road intersection. So I guess 123rd Street is a better name for it. The station is located close to 104th Street, with lots of shops and a business park building. The construction has not been as major in the area as in the other areas across 104th Avenue, but traffic is down to just 2 lanes from 3, going down Stony Plain Road. This segment is still opened up to 127th Street to allow the Stony Plain Shuttle to collect passengers and continuing westward. From here on, this is where the road is close to all traffic, and filming this segment was the most difficult when I had to zigzag around the roads due to the closure. The Stony Plain Road bridge can be seen completed when you walk on the road pathway, but the connection with the road isn't fully visible yet. Despite the full closure of Stony Plain, the construction team allocated intersections for pedestrians to cross with pedestrian warning signals, but I legitimately wondered about how useful they are when the only vehicles coming through these areas are construction vehicles traveling at slow speed. The next stop is Glenora, a stop by 133rd Street, and you can see the new concrete curbs forming the structure for the road being laid here. The access points to some of the small shops around is also kept, but obviously for foot and bike traffic only. I really hope that with the new Valley Line West, the city will also upgrade some of these bike corridors to have more protection, as there are only sharrows and share the road signs right now. Isn't it crazy that the line goes through 4 stops that were only 4 blocks from each other, and then suddenly goes 10 blocks to reach the next one? At this location, lo and behold, I finally saw a sign for a rezoning application, even before the tracks are laid and the constructions are finished. Someone must be very ahead of their time here. Moving on to the next stop, we'll reach Grovenor, 142nd Street. The naming here is pretty weird to say the least, because the station is right by the West Block Glenora Plaza and is still within the Glenora neighborhood. The location of the station is pretty ideal because it will have direct access to the West Block Glenora complex, with offices, commercial, and residential buildings. Though people living and working south of the station will have to cross 6 lanes of traffic to reach the line. Not so cool. From Stony Plain Road, where the train travels in the middle lanes, it will cross through traffic to reach the curbside platforms, and then cross the traffic flow again to travel in the median at 143rd Street. From the Valley Line booklet here, where I'm standing right now will be a park to help mitigate traffic flow, which is a good idea for road diet. There is a fence with a massive artwork for the construction, and the construction team ensure that the pedestrian access has minimal closures. They even provide a ramp using asphalt in here. Since this location is a major intersection, things do get really messy, with the slip lanes and lots of traffic cones. There's also no audible signals available for pedestrians, making it pretty hard to travel around as a pedestrian, but in a few years we might see something better. 7 blocks later and the line hits Stony Plain Road 149th Street Station. This station is another example of not so accurate naming, where its future platforms will be between 150th Street and 151st Street on Stony Plain Road. In my opinion, the station should be named Jasper Gate Center because it is located right there. The station will provide access to the commercial stores in here, but walking towards them will be an uphill challenge even when the line operates, thanks to these parking lots. While the roadblocks here are already happening, not so many construction activities have been spotted. The roadblocks here somehow narrow the crossing distance for pedestrians from 6 lanes to just 4 or 3. The blockades here are concrete blocks, and judging by the surface of the pathways, it looks like it's an actual part of the road but got separated by these concrete blocks. These concrete blocks should be the real materials used for protected bike lanes in every city. The line then makes a turn onto 156th Street to reach Jasper Place Station. This station will be a block away from the Jasper Place Transit Center, and it's another roadside stop. The intersection of Stony Plain Road and 156th Street, therefore, is a mess during rush hours, with lots of cars being backed up and each direction has only one lane to travel. The construction work on the northbound lanes of 156th Street is taking place, but there's still an access path to the Orange Hub building with a pedestrian signal. The dedicated walkway on the southbound lane appears pretty bad. It's just gravel and it gets soaking wet and muddy after rainy days. I hope that the team will apply some of the rollout pathways in here, like they did from many stations. The train will then cross the traffic flow to travel on the middle of the road again, with many apartments on both sides of the street. I'm not sure what happened with the construction, but the drainage system here has been quite affected by it, because cars were splashing by as they drive by, while some segments of the temporary sidewalk got flooded. And again, there are protection fences for the tree as well. The train will keep going on 156th Street to approach Glenwood-Sherwood Station. This will be a median station with platforms on the far side of the intersection between 156th Street and 95th Avenue. The temporary sidewalk is pretty bad here, with lots of ruins on the lawns and cracks on the surface. I hope that this will be fixed as the tracks are laid and the line is completed. You can see the construction materials already laid on the road here. It's time for me to be honest. The more I traveled across the future path of this line, the more I understood why it is planned this way. The land use around it needs it, and it also relies on this land use of higher density housing, commercial and office buildings, schools, and facilities for ridership. I gotta say that given all the major locations for both residents and visitors of the city, this line seems promising to have decent ridership throughout all hours of the day during its operation. The train line now approaches the next stop, Meadowlark. Its location will provide a connection to the Meadowlark Health and Shopping Center, but the parking lot will, again, remain a big challenge. The construction is pretty intense here in terms of road closures and blocking, but hopefully we will see more road work coming here soon. The new sidewalks can be spotted on the northbound lane of Meadowlark Road. What is interesting about this segment of the line is, if you go to Google Street View, you will see that the structure of this road, as well as 87th Avenue, includes 4 lanes of through traffic and 2 lanes on each side of the road as a service road. That makes the actual width of the road very wide, but I'm really glad to see that the city saw it as an opportunity for transit projects, especially since you already have a massive road to transform and not have to take any houses for land acquisition. Going down 87th Avenue, the train will now go up the viaduct where you would see its beginning point in the middle of the road. The fences here make traffic swerve around a little, so it can be a lot to look out for when driving. The next station is Misericordia Station, one of the 2 future elevated stations. The station will be right by the entrance to the emergency room of Misericordia Hospital, which will complete the puzzle of rapid transit and hospital access in Edmonton. You can see a giant machine on top of the viaduct here. I'm not sure what it's actually called, but I assume it helps with aligning the concrete for the viaduct into the poles together. The viaduct extends all the way past 170th Street to West Edmonton Mall. The station has not been constructed, but I can tell where it is due to the larger pillars at the mall entrance. The construction of the station required the transit center to be relocated to the other side of the mall with a sheer length of 200 meters. Following the station, the pillars for the viaduct are already completed. If you go onto Google Street View again, you see 87th Avenue used to have 3 lanes in each direction, and now it's reduced to 2. The structure of the road will not change once the Valley Line West runs, meaning it will be back to 3 lanes. The viaduct will eventually descend, but the tracks will continue going parallel with 87th Avenue to reach Aldergrove Belmead Station. The location of the station is surrounded by single-family homes. 87th Avenue is reduced to 2 lanes here, but the concept plan will make sure that it will still have 4 lanes in each direction once the construction is completed. The traffic here is also pretty messy, but no bus stops were closed, and walkways with clear instructions to them are provided. I also just noticed that the concrete barriers are painted with blue to indicate a bus stop, and the gaps are set on purpose for both the back and front door of a bus stopping. Around this area, you will also see some tracks left here, and I hope that they will be laid one day. The sidewalk here is not in their best condition, but a new paved one is found here to reach the intersection with Anthony Henday Drive. I wonder what was the decision for the line to not continue being elevated at this section, and only having a future at-grade intersection with automobile traffic at both the exit and entrance ramps to the highway. The bridge over Anthony Henday Drive is also finished, and the construction is going on both sides of it to ensure a smooth and balanced surface for the future tracks. I wish I could see more of what's happening, but there are lots of fences covering the work site and even the multi-use pathway on the 87th Avenue Bridge. Finally, the last station is Lewis Farms. You can see the frame of the maintenance building is already built from the transit center, as well as a big sign about the Valley Line West project. Since Lewis Farms will be a park and ride station, the construction focused heavily on parking lots, dropping off areas, and bike parking facilities. The future number of parking spots here is unknown, but the current number is definitely reduced to accommodate the construction work. It's also interesting to see that in 2009, Google Street View showed a photo of the transit center being constructed, and now 15 years later, it's under construction again for the better. And with Lewis Farm Station, this also wrapped up my video showing how the work is going on the Valley Line West. Let's hope that this time there will be no delays in the opening of the line, and I'm excited to see many important and densely populated locations in the city finally get the transit access they deserve. Bye for now, and I will see you in the next video. I'd like to thank all my supporters who supported me via my Buy Me a Coffee page. If you'd like to see your names at the end of the video, check out the donation links in the bio. I appreciate any amount that you chip in, as making these videos require a lot of efforts, research, and also money for articles and books. But you help maintain my motivation. See you in the next videos.